The Marvels might be a ticking time bomb, and Marvel should be worried.
The upcoming movie, The Marvels, starring Brie Larson, is set to lose over $100 million for the company, and since Avengers Endgame, they've really struggled to make a profit with a lot of their Marvel movies.
It's already been predicted that the Marvels will completely flop at the box office, even coming well behind Ant-Man Quantumania, which was previously named the studio's biggest bomb. It's no surprise that Disney is now in a panic, and it's starting to seem like they're getting extremely desperate to salvage the movie. The Marvels will be starring 3 of Marvel's main heroines at the moment: Captain Marvel, Ms. Marvel from the Disney Plus show, and Captain Monica Rambeau. However, it sounds like fans are less than excited for the upcoming movie, and it's already starting to look pretty dark at the box office. Big news headlines are already predicting the downfall of the movie, which is supposed to set an end to Marvel's 5th phase and lead us into the 6th. However, it's projected to be a massive flop since fans simply don't seem interested anymore.
This is gonna be a huge failure for Disney, a huge failure for Marvel. This is probably, not probably, it is going to be the Marvels. It's going to be the biggest box office disaster for Marvel, for Disney. You know, it might be the biggest flop ever.
Captain Marvel was already seen as a high-risk movie at the box office, and it actually earned a surprising $156 million in its opening weekend. However, it looks like things are far from improving for the second installment, since it's been predicted that the Marvels might not earn more than between $121 and $189 million, which is truly a tragic number. With the MCU's popularity and high budget, this is on track to become the franchise's worst release in years, as Captain Marvel actually went on to earn more than $1 billion worldwide. The massive drop in success could actually be all Disney's fault, and there are quite a lot of reasons for it. The movie cost around $270 million to make, which means Disney could be looking at a major loss here. However, with the studio's track record lately, this might be entirely self-inflicted because of Disney's bad executive decisions. Some of the studio's recent movies like Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, Haunted Mansion, and The Little Mermaid have proven that Disney is seriously losing its touch, and it's now affecting the MCU in extremely unfortunate ways. First off, some people believe that the studio has been overdoing it with the superhero content, as the many shows it's been pumping out are starting to feel like cash grabs, instead of genuine passion projects meant to build upon the cinematic universe, and people are starting to get tired of it. With so much content out there, it's hard to keep up, and the majority of people have almost no idea who these new characters in the Marvels are supposed to be, and Brie Larson is, unfortunately, unable to carry the entire movie, especially since she was forced to step back and share the spotlight in her own movie. And if the exhausting amount of content being released by Disney isn't enough, the ongoing actor strike is also seriously discouraging fans from gaining any interest in the movie. With the actors unable to do any promotions for the Marvels, the hype has been at an all-time low, and Disney is a huge part of this problem. It's a huge shame considering the fact that this movie was supposed to showcase some incredibly important and powerful female superheroes alongside a talented female director, and it's impossible not to think that Disney seriously messed up by making these business moves. Excluding Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which surprisingly turned out to be a massive hit, Disney has been failing terribly at its recent projects. Ant-Man and the Wasp. Quantumania was severely hyped by the studio and turned out to be a massive flop that even earned the title of Marvel's biggest box office bomb, and its most recent series, Secret Invasion, has actually become Disney's worst-rated project ever. It's actually been so poorly constructed that some viewers have been completely turned away from Marvel's future projects since the show was supposed to set up for the MCU's next phase. Most would agree when I say this show was boring from beginning to end, end and is probably the worst Disney Plus Marvel show. It's even been rumored that it might be very significant for the Marvels, especially with the involvement of the Skrulls and with the lack of interest in the show. Lots of fans seem hesitant to tune in for the Marvels. This is mainly because they're afraid they might be missing things by not having watched the show, which just proves how badly thought out the whole thing has been. It feels quite unfair to ask fans to watch a mediocre show to be able to understand very important main MCU movies, especially when this movie in particular is supposed to put an end to the iconic MCU era that we've all known for years now. And let's not forget how the movie was originally delayed several times, as it was actually supposed to release in 2022, and then in July of this year. This means that not only has the movie had terrible publicity, but it's also been almost completely forgotten by fans since it's been dragged on for so long. Almost no one seems excited about a sequel for Captain Marvel any longer, and it's all due to Disney's horrible marketing and questionable business models. However, despite everything looking bleak, it looks like the studio aims to do everything in its power to get a successful movie out there, as MCU boss Kevin Feige has reportedly admitted that getting certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes is incredibly important to him. It's clear that things started to look dark for the studio after its past film failures, which some fans believe could mean that the studio is now panicking to pull every string in order to make sure the movie becomes a success. But as it turns out, only 6 MCU films failed to earn certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, 4 of which were released after Endgame, which really bring down the chances for the Marvels. Movies like Eternals, Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, Thor, Love and Thunder, and Ant-Man and the Wasp. Quantumania have all failed to be certified fresh, which means things are looking very dire for the Marvels. The recent shows being just as badly rated might start to mark the downfall of the MCU, and Disney's insistence on pushing out content might end up being the reason for it. Many fans started to gain some hope for the studio after Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. However, it's starting to look like that might have been a one-time wonder, since Disney doesn't seem to want to improve any of the upcoming projects. It's also very clear that lots of Marvel movies in the past did so great because of the massive interest in the franchise, which always helped them come out on top. It's even something we've seen in more recent years, as the hype from Spider-Man No Way Home massively helped Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness get great opening weekend results. But at the same time, we've also seen the opposite happen, since Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 had a difficult opening weekend thanks to Quantumania. It's also what happened to the first Captain Marvel, since it happened to debut between MCU's most anticipated movies, Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, which no doubt was a huge reason it became a box office hit. The hype surrounding the latest Marvel project has always had a huge say when it comes to their upcoming projects, which is exactly why it's looking very bad for the Marvels, thanks to the several badly rated shows made by Disney+. Even the social media attention has been lacking, as public interest has been next to non-existent, even with the newly released trailers that usually are meant to create hype around these kinds of big MCU movies. It's something that's seriously starting to get concerning for Disney, since they were initially attempting to market the movie as 2 hours of female empowerment in hopes of attracting more diverse audiences. The move is definitely looking to have been the wrong approach, since not only has the studio lost the interest of many of its original fans, but it's also failing at properly marketing the movie to new audiences because of the huge amount of content that comes with it and the current strikes that prevent the actors from speaking on the project. Disney is definitely doing their best to try and create positive talk about the movie, as they've seemingly started to release new Marvel Studios Legends episodes featuring all 3 of the Marvels. The show exists to showcase important characters as well as give viewers a recap on their lives and highlight their importance to the MCU for people who aren't quite in the loop. This seems to be a very conscious choice in order to try and earn more hype for the characters without having the actors speak for them. But it also seems like a pretty desperate solution, since very few people even know about Marvel Studios Legends. However, the main concern seems to be the potential financial loss for Disney because of the film's $275 million budget, which is actually twice as much as the studio was originally counting on, supposedly because of the many delays. This means that the movie would have to earn around $700 million for the studio to get any decent profit from it, which seems incredibly unlikely considering the estimated total doesn't even reach $200 million, meaning it could end as a legitimate loss for the studio. This comes as a shock for several reasons, as the movie is actually set to drop at a pretty great time considering it has very little competition at the box office, and is even being allowed to run on IMAX scenes thanks to Dune 2 getting moved to 2024. The whole thing is incredibly unfortunate for Disney, which is why they've been desperately trying to raise awareness for Marvel Studios' Legends. The 3 new episodes, each focusing on a different Marvel, were announced to be dropping on Disney Plus in November, which Disney hopes to be enough time for fans to get really familiar with the characters before the Marvels debuts on November 10th. What are your thoughts on the fate of the Marvels? Is Disney doing the right thing? Let me know down below, and don't forget to check out this next video.